And then finally, I just wanted to mention briefly, and many of you were on the call earlier today and saw the announcement out of the White House, and subsequently, I think, our statement just a short time ago issued in my name. But 6 months ago, the United States began a comprehensive engagement plan with the government of Sudan aimed at ending the government's offensive military operations, improving humanitarian access, and ending Sudan's destabilizing role in South Sudan, countering terrorist groups, as well as ending the threat of the Lord's Resistance Army, the LRA. Since then, Sudan has met our benchmarks and made significant progress toward these goals, as well as new commitments. As a result, the United States has decided to issue a general license lifting the sanctions on U.S. trade and investment in Sudan. Our engagement with Sudan under the plan has had multiple benefits for U.S. interests and the region and the people of Sudan. It has had a positive effect on reducing conflict and addressing Sudan's humanitarian crisis. For example, in December, Sudan revised revised national regulations that govern humanitarian action, bringing them into line with international standards for the first time. Moreover, for the first time in 5 years, Sudan opened access for humanitarian aircraft to reach Golo, central Darfur, and allowed a needs assessment to occur that will inform assistance efforts in Golo and other previously inaccessible areas. And regionally, Sudan has stopped providing arms to South Sudanese opposition groups, is cooperating with the United States to address the threat of the Lord's Resistance Army, and has begun working with the United States to combat wildlife trafficking. Finally, Sudan has become an important partner in countering Daesh and other regional terrorist threats. Despite these advances, we recognize there's still much to be done to end Sudan's internal conflicts, ensure accountability for crimes of international concern, improve its human rights record, allow unfettered humanitarian access to vulnerable populations, and create space for greater political participation, civil society activity, and media freedom. The United States sees the progress made over the past 6 months as the beginning of a longer-term process for addressing these critically important issues. I'll end there. Matt, over to you.
Okay. Couple logistical things,
Sure thing.
real quickly. But first on Sudan,
of course.
One of the main things that the Sudanese government had been pushing for was removal from the state sponsors of terrorism list. My understanding is that there has to be a 6-month review of that, and you just mentioned that 6 months ago you began this greater engagement, and I'm just wondering, I mean, is this something that's in the cards, at least for this administration, until it ends in a week from today, or does not removing them mean that they have not met the required benchmarks for undesignation or de-designation?
How I would answer that question is, we believe that they've, while they have made positive steps in other in counterterrorism coordination, the government of Sudan still needs to meet all the criteria of the relevant statutes to allow for rescission of the state sponsor of terrorism designation. Sure. Well, again, I'd have to probably get back to you on that. I don't have the details of what specific areas they still have yet to meet. But my understanding is that they're not. Sorry, just to finish the answer, you said whether this 6-month process had already begun. To my understanding, it has not begun yet.
Oh, okay. So the start of the engagement in September or whenever it was not the review period for rescission.
For rescission on the state sponsorship of terror, no, I don't believe so. No.
But has the government of Sudan renounced terrorism as is required by? That's one of the.
Again, I'd want to get a more thorough accounting of the steps that they've taken specifically with regard to the criteria, meeting the criteria. I just don't have that in front of me before I answer that question. I'll get that for you.
And then other logistics.